There is nothing more important than your children's education. Of course, you want the best for them in all areas of their life, but their education takes top priority. At Quincy Catholic Elementary Schools, we have a long history of exceeding parents' expectations for their children's education.
QCES provides the highest quality Catholic school education for students from preschool through 8th grade. What makes QCES different? We have been providing our students in the community with quality education for more than 150 years. As Catholic adults, we are called to model our faith to each and every one of our students because we are, after all, shaping their future to be the best they can be.
For more than a decade, the Quincy Catholic Elementary Schools Foundation has honored outstanding individuals, couples, and organizations who have been good stewards of God's gifts and given them their time, talent, and treasure to support and promote Catholic education in Quincy. Since 2009, the QCES Foundation has honored these individuals, couples, and organizations with the Friend of Catholic Education Award that is presented to them at our annual Friend of Catholic Education Award dinner held during Catholic Schools Week.
However, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we were unable to host our 2021 Friends of Catholic Education Award dinner. But we won't let the pandemic stop us from honoring our Friends of Catholic Education Award recipients for 2021.
As Executive Director of the Quincy Catholic Elementary Schools Foundation, it is my honor to announce that our 2021 Friend of Catholic Education Award recipients are the QCES heroes, the administrators, teachers, and the entire school staff at each of our 4 elementary schools: Blessed Sacrament, St. Dominic, St. Francis, and St. Peter.
Although the past year has been a difficult one, our QCES administrators, teachers, and school staff have never wavered in their dedication to the QCES mission to provide students with an excellent education in a caring and nurturing faith-based environment that promotes students' intellectual, physical, social, and spiritual growth and development.
We thank and salute our QCES heroes. This is their story, and we hope you enjoy it.
I read a book a few years ago, and one of the lines just really stuck out, and it said, "Remember who you are and to who you belong." And that has just made me think a lot about my kids, like who are they? And they belong to God, and I want that to resonate with them.
Having God present in our students' education and in their day-to-day activities in their school was where they needed to be and where we wanted them to be.
And so Catholic education was a no-brainer for us.
I think what we have here in Quincy is outstanding for so many reasons.
And I just kind of thought, oh, you know, every town has that. Well, it's definitely not the case in every town.
The Catholic school is very vital to any community. And so often communities do not have a Catholic school.
Many places either the schools have vanished or dwindled, but with this kind of wonderful support and this kind of outreach and connection of our community, I really think that we have such a beautiful and thriving Catholic community.
When I think about all the things that we could possibly give our children, I dare say that education is the only thing we can give that will never lose its value.
I'm aware of what it brings to every family who's able to engage it.
It builds a foundation of faith for our kids, as well as provide a moral compass for them to get through life.
It is not preparing students for what they'll become or what they'll accomplish. It's really preparing for them for who they'll become.
Our students come out very educated, but also quite well-rounded. And if you look around, they go on to be leaders in our community and in our world.
I thought we'd go to the local school, it would be very convenient. It's what, we would do because, that's just what everybody did in our community. And it was actually my husband who brought it up. He said, I really think we need to look into the private schools in Quincy. And I was actually pretty shocked that he was the one that brought that up to me, not being from this background.
Yeah, we're not a Catholic family, and we came here because of the preschool program friends and family had referred us to. And we fell in love with it. We were hooked. The program is amazing.
One of them said to me, never base your child's education on convenience. And that really hit home to me because, you really need to look beyond what's convenient for you. You need to look at what's best for your children.
I think that's part of the community in a Catholic educational school is that you know that they want to take care of your child the same way that you do. And you have no fears when you drop them off, that when you pick them up, they're going to be better than they were when you left them. I'm one of those moms who tears up when I drop them off the first couple of days. And every time when I pick them up and see how happy they are to be in school, I just can't help but know that if I can't hold on to them, at least they're at the best place that they can be.
It's not just an education, it's a family atmosphere.
It is definitely a full family journey. It's not just putting your kids in school, it is everyone invested in the opportunities.
Breaking news just a short time ago, the governor of Illinois announcing all schools in Illinois will be closed.
In the 45 years of being a priest, it's probably been one of the most disruptive experiences that I've had.
It was such a huge change and so much chaos.
Yeah, so I actually remember that day perfectly. I had taken my oldest daughter, Aniston, out for a smoothie, and she realized she had forgotten a book at school, and she said, "Oh, Mom, I just really want to go back and get it. Will you see if they're still there?" So we called Mrs. Hudson, and of course she was, and she said, "It's about 4 o'clock. She said, "Just come get it." And we did, and I was thankful because we didn't go back to school.
Remembering March 13th at about 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
And so consequently, we hadn't sent home their iPads or their devices or Chromebooks, and so we were in the hallway having a meeting at 4:30 trying to figure out what our next step was.
If you can just imagine the multitude of things that puts on the shoulders of educators, it was unbelievable.
Yeah, our schools are going to be closed, and we don't know for how long. Will it be through Easter? Will it be through the end of the year? Will it be through fall? Some people were saying, oh my gosh, could it even be that long?
What's going to happen with school? What's going to happen with our jobs? What's going to happen with everything?
How are we going to do this? Are we going to have to furlough employees? Are we going to, how is this going to work? And she said, well, I trust in God. I think I turned right around and said, isn't that my line?
I don't know if everybody even had a clue how much changed every day. I mean, even multiple times a day. And so to have that kind of a reality is chaos, actually.
The beauty of it was that we had spring break to follow that. And yes, it changed all of our plans for spring break, which was just fine, but we needed to be prepared for these students.
We knew that we had to close our school and let our families know that we would be doing something different.
Thank God that we were part of a Catholic school where faith was at the front of that.
To really see that this isn't God's punishment, but this is God loving us in the midst of a struggle, and that is how God always works. In the midst of craziness, in the midst of trauma, in the midst of terrible things, God is always there and always present and always with us. It's just the fact that we need to open our eyes and look.
But when times are tough, the really tough people, step up to do what's right for kids.
And teaching them through, hey, when things get tough, you don't give up, you persevere, you dig down deeper and you keep pushing and pushing and pushing, because you will see the fruits of that labor, and it'll be very, very rewarding beyond what you can even comprehend.
And although I'm sure it was very stressful on them, you'd never know it because they're just the amazing people that they are, and they got through it and they helped us get through it. And I think by them staying calm and working through it as well and seamlessly as they did, helped us parents stay calm and made the kids, transition very well.
They all believed something good was possible. And because we believed, we put something together that really turned out to be wonderful.
We have always worked together, and I think the pandemic was really a good example of actually seeing that really in action.
That's unique because when you talk to other people, for example, other areas that are within the diocese, we are definitely unique in how we communicate with one another, and we meet, we discuss things, we talk it over. How did you handle this? Never do you feel like you're alone. You just don't.
The strength of a community is how they respond to situations that's beyond their control.
We take care of each other, and that's how we keep operating, that's how we keep focusing, that's how we keep working.
We had emails going back and forth from 6:30 in the morning till 11 o'clock at night, trying to prepare, learning new technology. What kind of method would we be using with the students? Was it going to be Google Meet? Was it going to be Zoom? There were so many avenues that the teachers had to share ideas and learn from each other in order to prepare.
What I think I was most impressed with when all of this kind of started and went down was just the communication with faculty and staff, with parents.
From the second that we went home during the pandemic, there was such strong, consistent communication coming out of the school.
And let us know, here's what to expect, here's how we're going to do it. If you have any questions, And they were always open to us contacting them anytime.
We would have organized pickups where families would come and pick up materials. So we had so much help with staff making that happen. It's a pretty big undertaking.
We'd pull up to get our materials and all the teachers were outside and they'd be so excited to see us.
Packet pickup was actually very emotional, you know, coming to school and knowing that our kids couldn't go inside and see their teachers. Our kids have great relationships with our teachers, with our principal, and so that separation was maybe the hardest thing, of not being able to see them and interact with them daily.
I think of all the virtues that our faculty and staff have reflected was that being able to adapt to each and every situation.
You know, we'd roll down the windows and we'd smile and we'd wave and air hugs and all of that, but it was definitely a challenge to then have to just turn around and go back home because I knew how badly they wanted to be at school.
We know that teachers spend time outside of their classroom in their own time getting things prepared for the day, but that was really ratcheted up, I feel like, with the pandemic, because then they had to prepare materials to go home.
And why did they do that? Because they're really here to serve our kids and their families. And I've been very impressed with them.
And you've got to praise the teachers, because really it was a 2-for-1. They were helping to teach the student, but they were teaching the parents as well. And the patience and the commitment that they displayed was just unbelievable.
Seemed completely seamless, as if they had been preparing for this for years.
And the next week we were up and running, and with barely any problems at all. Our networks ran, the tools, the books and the iPads and the Chromebooks went home.
I feel like we didn't miss a beat. You know, some people are worried that kids were falling behind. I don't fear that my kids fell behind when we were remote learning, because our teachers and our principal and our school were so on top of everything.
If we were not on our game, those children would have had such a gap in their learning. And how would you make up for that year after year after year? That would just be a huge challenge to recover from.
Yes, I have friends all across the country who have various experiences with distance learning in both public and private school settings, where the students are getting maybe 2 hours of learning, not even necessarily every day.
But it wasn't just a matter of, oh, we're just going to do it a couple hours a day, or, you know, we tried to have the classroom come into the home, so it wasn't so distant.
And we knew it would take engagement in a way that would be different than in-person learning.
And they did, and it was fun. Like, I remember I had a daughter in kindergarten and she was doing a beach theme week. So everything that they learned had to do with the beach, but it was, you know, tailored to that subject matter. And so it was fun. They had to read a book on a beach towel out on the lawn or whatever. I don't know, it was neat.
It had to be quality. We were not just presenting fluff. It was our normal, rigorous, standard-based education, and those students were expected to live up to what we expected.
And we really do a great job of preparing students for having expectations.
Holding each other strong and maintaining that quality of education.
The things that they're learning is just, it blows me away. I look at what I learned, you know, back in the day, and I think they're just learning at such a new advancement. It's just crazy.
They were learning, the teachers were learning, the kids were learning, we parents were learning.
But these kids were, you know, almost already prepped for this because they already knew how to run the laptops, they knew how to get on the Google Classrooms, they knew how to do that stuff. And in kindergarten, that's pretty impressive.
So we took what they knew and we built on that.
The Catholic schools have done exceptionally well is that they have leveled that playing field for all of the families who are in school so that they all have equal access to the technology.
In this process, they not only were learning their schoolwork that they needed to learn, they're also learning this technological information that they're going to be using the rest of their lives.
Kids are very resilient. Like, kids they just kind of do what they have to do. And I think that, you know, all of us as parents can take a lesson in that by saying, you know, this is not only, you know, it's a big adjustment for us, but it's also a big adjustment for our children. And they're champions when it comes to this. They're doing what they have to do and they're not complaining. They're excelling and they're succeeding. And I think that us parents, you know, just have to look at that and learn, you know, our kids can do this and so can we.
The teachers have had their work cut out for them this year, but it seems like they've done so well. And if they've struggled, they've definitely kept it to themselves.
That Boy, that took some time to figure out, but we were very successful with it, and I take pride in knowing that we were.
Our teachers are awesome. They knew that it would be a challenge, and they were up for the challenge.
I feel like the teachers had complete control of the classroom, and I didn't think that that would happen. I thought, how are you going to have 20 kids on a Zoom and keep control?
We had pictures of all the students on the 16 students across the page smiling and paying attention and learning, and it was a joyful thing to see that, yes, school continues on, and as if we almost didn't miss a single beat.
We had so many compliments on our teachers, and word was getting out that we were following our normal curriculum, our high expectations, and families were calling us. They were wanting to know how we were doing it differently and how we were being so successful with our students. And so that in essence was a blessing for us.
I understand our test scores are above average, which is unheard of. You would wonder, but you would wonder about that. But our test scores have done very well. Our students are learning the material. Our students are staying on grade level, and they're ready to go on into the next grades and compete.
And the unity of our school community with our parish is one of its greatest strengths.
There is definitely not a division between parish and school.
We are ultimately a faith community, not just a school community, but a faith community, where we've been able to share the gospel even during this time, where we've been able to pray for each other.
As disciples, and that's a key word, disciples, what we're learning, forming young people as disciples, they'll take with them for the rest of their life.
I feel like they've always focused on the fact that God was in control and that we just needed to stay the course and pray, and not that for a miracle to happen per se, but that God would do His will, and that we would see that and be okay with that and do what we needed to do to get there.
One of the great things that our school has put into place is monthly faith formation activities that you do as a family. And so for us, it's been a great opportunity to stop and make sure that we are taking the time at home to focus on our faith formation.
I have a first grader who prayed the rosary daily. Her teacher just took a section of it and they prayed it together. And it was sweet to listen to that from the other room.
Kids have really directed us and pulled us into all of it. You know, they say that the Holy Spirit works and speaks to us all differently, and I think through the kids they've brought us into here, and it's such a family.
An amazing part when Crew came home and asked to lead prayer one night before dinner, and it just showed the impact that Catholic school was having on him, but also that he was bringing that to our family to be a leader in his faith.
And our children have actually led us to the path where we have joined the RCIA program. We're all becoming Catholic now. We're into the program. Our children are going to be baptized along with my husband.
That's the living body of Christ, and that's the benefit that you have with a Catholic school. Is it's just not about the schooling, it's about the community that goes along with it.
This was a time when we needed God ever more than ever.
You know, the pandemic has been an upheaval for everyone, and no one knew how to react to this.
Additionally, I am super proud of our parents. They are such a cohesive group too, and I know this year's been tough for them.
Trying to figure out how we were going to work our two careers and also homeschool, in a sense, our two children that were in school, and entertain a preschooler because she still needed attention too.
I was home working full-time from home with two kids who were doing remote learning and a 1-year-old. So it was definitely a time that I hope I don't ever have to repeat.
Some of the children were at home with one parent while the other parent was in a motel because of their high-risk job. They didn't want to bring any virus home.
And everybody was doing their best to react well.
They didn't think that this was going to stick. It was just going to be 2-3 weeks, right? And then we were going to be back. But that wasn't the case.
We couldn't do things that we normally do. We couldn't see people present at the Eucharist each and every Sunday. People stayed away because of a fear.
We were able to, thankfully, watch it on YouTube because our church was able to provide that opportunity for us.
We at the parish had a phone number to call in order to make sure that if there was anyone who was in any kind of need, especially those who were unemployed or underemployed or had issues with where their next meal was going to come, we would wrap around them and embrace them with our love.
How are you doing? Is there anything we can do to help you? Or is there other prayers that we can be offering for you for anything you need?
We did have a couple families where concerned about, with the loss of their jobs and so forth, we were able to provide some food for them.
It was very sad that we were not able to have our normal activities, our blessing of the backpack, our read night, trunk or treat, winter carnival, Mardi Gras. There were so many things that were canceled because of this pandemic, but we did our very best to make sure that we could award those students in a certain way and make them feel special.
Did a drive-through in the cars and got to see all the teachers and have a little send-off so that the kids could have that sense of closure that the school year was over. And even though it was different, the teachers still were thinking about them and wishing them well for the summer.
Last spring, when we found out we were closed and then closed for the rest of the school year, but registration time came around last summer and our parents still signed our kids back up for school. So there's that high trust between our parents and our staff that even though this is an unprecedented time, nobody's ever done this before, but we have such high trust in our school that we're still signing our kids up. We're still planning to send them back to you.
The diocese and the parish made the decision to go to face-to-face learning because the impact was felt right away. I think the relief in crew and when your son is asking you in the summer when they can go back to school, that tells you how much school really does mean to them.
My kids love school. I'm such a lucky parent.
So when we were coming back to school in the fall, we were all really nervous. We had no idea what was going to happen.
I was hesitant. I was excited to come back, but I thought, how long is it going to last?
We went into this school year as a family preparing to have to come back home. Partially because we wanted to communicate that to our kids to set some realistic expectations in case that is what ended up happening.
We had no idea what was going to happen. We honestly thought we were going to get 2 weeks in school, in-person learning, and then be at home. But that wasn't the case.
And so when we would make it 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, my husband and I would kind of look at each other like, oh my gosh, we're still here, like we're still in person.
I think we were proactive, which is why we were able to stay open.
And we were able to come up with plans, text alerts, what do those look like? What do the emails look like? What's the verbiage that parents receive, that teachers receive? So that it goes flawlessly. If this happens, then this is what we do. So at this point, we feel pretty secure in knowing that parents are going to feel comfortable.
When school started in the fall, we were ready. School was in session.
There was just nothing left to chance, and I think that's why there was such a good experience.
We had approximately 14 distance learners that decided to stay home even after everybody else was allowed to come back. And it was just enough that those children were sprinkled throughout K through 8 that almost every teacher had a distance learner.
And then the teachers have just done an amazing job of incorporating the distance learners into the classroom.
We had iPads in the room as if that child was in the room with the rest of the class.
Just really making everybody feel like whether you're physically in the building or not, you're still very much a part of everything that's happening in the building.
A team effort, from taking temperatures in the morning when the kids get here, or anything that needs done, serving the lunches and, taking the lunches to the students and cleaning up after them. I feel like it's just a team effort.
Everything from the level of sanitation and what the janitorial staff had to do to the extra lunch periods and what the cafeteria staff had to do and the cleaning that they had to do between each lunch period.
For me, it was just that first couple weeks of school, just being so relieved and so happy that we were back.
I'm pretty emphatic that in person is what's best for kids.
The kids were listening, they were social distancing, they were wearing their masks, they were doing everything that was asked of them. And honestly, when people say today, like, how has that affected your kids? Do they hate wearing masks? Do they hate, and I say, no, absolutely not. I have to remind them to take their masks off when they get in the car because halfway home, they're still wearing them. They don't notice the things that they're having to do. They're just thankful to be in school.
With these safety measures in place, we were amazed at how well they were protected. In fact, we went until November without any real issues or problems.
We proactively did that. We didn't have to react. All of a sudden, we don't have enough teachers, we don't have enough subs, what do we do? It was, okay, well, this is what we're dealing with. we have the next couple weeks for Thanksgiving. Let's take the steps to protect our students in a better way, protect our teachers in a better way, give everybody the ability to operate online, because we didn't close down. We kept operating, we kept educating, and we only spent a couple of weeks doing that, and everybody came back healthier and holier and happier.
They want to be back in school. They want to be with their friends. They realize that the best way to learn is in person.
Yeah, I would say I'm the most proud of the fact that we've made it. We have conquered it. We have been in person almost the entire time, with the exception of a few students here and there. And I don't think anyone thought that we would, but we did.
Often we'll celebrate the end of a week just because it's been another week for us to be able to be together.
All the hard work and all the goodwill through this time has been amazing to watch. It's truly an act of faith.
It really took a community of faith. We all believed that it was possible to provide a great opportunity for our kids, and everyone came out.
We're all called to be disciples of Christ, and really with the faith woven into everything we do, that's what we're doing. We're developing people to become followers and disciples of Christ.
Being able to be a product of the Catholic education here, I'm aware of what it brings to every family who's able to engage it.
It was teachers, families, the administrators working together. It was all of us. It was the parish, the custodians, and the awesome task that they had to make it safe and secure for our kids. It was just amazing how parents believed that we could do it, and then they helped us get there by supporting the kids at home. It was just all of us. It was a community of faith.
As long as you are mine, I'll be there when you need me. You can count on it every time. It won't always be easy, just as sure as the sun will rise. I'll be there when you need me, with every tear that falls from your eyes. Oh, you have me completely. I'll be there when you need me.
Sometimes in adversity, you see the true character of an institution or an organization come forth.
This time will be truly our greatest hour.
I think that we're raising one of the greatest generations ever. I mean, you look at kids and people that went through World War II and the Depression and so forth, they had this major life-changing event, and it wasn't the event that changed them, it was how they reacted.
The future is so bright. We feel that we've come through this. We can handle anything. We work together as a great team. And quite frankly, we've learned how to make it work.
It will form us. It will give us an appreciation years from now of what we went through and how we endured and how we hung together, how we all came together and made it possible.
It takes everyone, and everyone does it with a happy heart, and that again, our kids see that and they want to emulate that and they want to continue that.
The good news is we've made it.
And it's a journey that's not yet over, and I can't wait to see what's to come. Every year we think, oh, next year's teacher can't be as good, but the teachers are better, and it's just, we're in love.
I can't thank them enough. And even though we had this distance from each other physically, the beautiful part, there was never a distance spiritually or emotionally, because we were all connected. So thank you.
And thank you to all who make the enterprise of Catholic education possible. Working together, we know that we are building up the body of Christ, not just in the here and now, but for tomorrow and looking into a long and hopefully prosperous future.
I've lived all over the country. There's been no question that Catholic education provides consistently a high quality experience, and then again shaped by a particular set of values to not only turn out good students, but great citizens.
Maybe it's because we're a small school, or maybe just because we're such a tight group, but we've made it through to the finish line is in sight now, and we're so close.
That spirit has, I think lit a fire under this community to realize we are in this together. We do depend on the grace and the mercy of God.
I'll be there when you need me. You can count on it every time. It won't always be easy. I'll be there when you need me.
what they learn in the classroom empowers them to go out and make this world a better place, and that's what the Catholic system does so well.